Hello and welcome back to my Let's Play of Tsukihime Remake. We ascend the large staircase in the lobby to the second floor. Akiha office, the heart of the Tohno family. I was never allowed to enter the Makihisa office when I was a child. A room occupied by each generation family head. That room now belonged to my sister. In stark contrast to the bright white of the parlor, the office is colored a dark red. Luxurious curtains lined the windows, a deep crimson carpet, immaculatingly kept in place, is placed on the floor. The fine air to the room is thick with a sense of history. This is where Makihisa Tohno once presided as the head of the family. Now it's where Akiha will carry that burden forward. Master Shiki, mistress? Master Shiki, mistress. Thank you. You may return to your duty, Kohaku. Understood. Please excuse me. Kohaku gives a slight bow before exiting the room. The only people left in the room are myself and two girls I don't recognize. It's been a while, hasn't it? Dark-haired girl casts a dignified glare at me as she speaks. My head is blank. The gears in my head have stopped turning. All I manage to do is nod and agree. I'm pathetic, though I suppose it may be understandable. She looks so different from how I remember her. Shiki, is there something you find disagreeable here? The black-haired girl narrowed her eyes as if she was measuring up a stranger. No.
Yeah.
Nothing coherent escaped my lips as my mind struggled to catch up. I'm still trying to figure out if she's really my sister or not, even though she clearly already accepted who I am. It seems your condition is as poor as I say. Would you like to rest before I speak with you? Though it would be a terrible waste of time. She frowns. Her words seem to have more bite to them than I expected. No, I feel fine. I was just surprised at how much you changed. Of course, I have changed. It's been 7 years. I was only a child then. You, on the other hand, are just as I remember you, my dear brother. I stammered, crushed under the weight of her quiet ferocity. I feel bad after all this time. It hadn't even occurred to me to think about how Akiha may have changed. I only thought of her as a little girl who used to follow me around. The last 7 years hadn't been hard on me. I'm an idiot for it to only sink in now that she's right in front of me. Also, this looked completely like Ren. I'm sorry. Honestly, I hadn't thought things through. Even so, you really changed a lot, Akiha. You've become even more beautiful. Clear words finally filtered their way through. Thank you. You look much the same as you did. Akiha speaks coldly, her eyes closed. Well, I had expected something like this. She must resent me for leaving the family. A silence falls over as we take a second to study one another. I was unable to say anything worthwhile to a sister I hadn't seen in 7 years. Akiha stares at me with guarded expression, inspecting me as if I were some intruder, though to her I may very well be. Well then, if you're feeling up to it, then let's get this over with, shall we? Have you heard the detail behind the reason for your move? No, nothing. All I heard was that I was to come back. I learned of our father's death from the newspaper. It's not at all surprising that the death of someone presiding over a massive conglomerate would make the business section of the most papers. We live in a world where a son disowned by his family learns of his own father's death on the internet. The news reaches me after his funeral had already passed, like I was a complete stranger. My apologies, I should have sent a word of his passing. Akiha lowers her head quietly. Her hair beautiful, but that's not important right now. My wording was the problem. You don't have to feel bad about that. It's not like me going would have brought him back to life. Besides, you saved me from having to deal with our relatives. I can imagine they would be kind to me. Is that so? It put me at ease to hear you say that. I'm lucky to have such an understanding sister. A funeral is an occasion that offers closure to those unable to accept the passing of a loved one. My relationship with my father ended a long time ago. I have no obligation or desire to attend something like that for Makihisa. I haven't once thought about how I say goodbye to him. Okay, this is very much interesting, because in the original Shiki relationship with Makihisa, he describes it as strict, but he doesn't like necessarily hate him. But he also like finds himself having like, I want to say, sweeter memories. Like he believes him to be like the type of father that was, while strict, but was very caring for him. But here, like, clearly he does not care much for his father. He does not think much of him. He thinks he very much is a person of the past. But if that's the case, then who called me back? There's no way it was in his will, right? I was the one who called you back here. We can't have the eldest son of the Tohno family stay with the Armans forever now, can we? Regardless of your defect, you are still a Tohno. I accept the word defect without a second thought. My father used it often. It doesn't bother me anymore. If anything, she's right. Now that Makihisa Tohno is dead, you and I are all that remains of the Tohno family. Our blood must be protected. I do not know why my father decided to have you stay with the Arima's family, but he is no longer with us. Without a clear reason, it is only natural that you would be placed under the supervision of your direct family. Akiha's words are quiet but firm, as if she were shutting down any possible objection I could have had before I even raised them. Supervision, huh? What would have happened if I refused to come back? You do not have that kind of freedom, nor does the Arima family have any right to deny the main family. Both you and I were raised by the Tohno family. You have a duty to this family until you come of age, at the very least. Makihisa used to say the same thing. Parents are responsible for raising their children and preparing them for society. Just like any good business, a family can't be sending defective products to markets. It will only serve to harm their good name and degrade society as a whole. An individual unwilling to remove such a product has no right to be a parent, and a child unable to bear the responsibility given onto them had no place in the family. Makihisa Tohno spoke of this many times to Akiha and I, almost like it was more for him than us. That's really messed up. He's basically saying like, you're my property, and if I don't raise you right, then I have failed as a parent. Which, saying it out loud, yes, that's fair. But like, you shouldn't look at your kids as future business products. You should look at your kids as kids. Dad did always say that. So that's why you had me come back then to recall. She cut me off without any consideration for her poor brother. disowned by his narrow-minded father. You are the eldest
どの
son
よう
of
な経緯であれ、
regardless of the
あなたが
circumstances.
遠野家の長男だから、
Do I need
それ
any
以
other
外
reason?
に理由があるとで
Another
も
day of cleaning of loose ends for the head of the Tohno family. I'm glad you
理解
understand.
していただけて何よりです。言うまでもありませんが、私の発言は遠野家当主のものとして受け取ってください。戸籍上ではあなたは兄さん、私はあなたを兄として尊重しますが、同時に7年前のことは忘れて、私たちは当主とその家人であること。
But sure, that makes it easier to understand.
それはそれでわか
Thank
りや
you
す
for
くはっき
being
り言
very
ってくれた
clear.
方が俺もすっきりする。
This is the natural way of things. There's no reason for me to be offended. Do you
私
truly
の
understand
言葉
what
を
I'm
理
saying?
解していますか？
I do
私
believe
は
I
兄
told
さんよ
you
り上の
that
立場で、
I position out
それを
only
承
two
諾
words
し
in
ろ
the
と
top.
一方的に宣言したつも
I
り。
have no
わか
problem
って
with
る
that.
し、
It's only
文
fair
句はな
given
い
the
よ。
circumstances. If
だって
anything, I appreciate
むしろ
that you still consider
7
me
年間
your
好き放題
brother,
に生きてきた俺
I
に
avoided all my
妹としてき
responsibilities
ちん
for
と
you.
礼を取ってくれる明葉に。
I'm
けど
glad you managed to convince
明葉の
our
考えは
relatives
別にして
though. Weren't they the
親
ones
戚の
who
連中
wanted
は
to
よく
send
納
you
得
there
した
in the
な。
first place?
俺は
Indeed, but I run
そう
this
ですね。
family now. Any
です
opposition
が、
was quashed
今の当
immediately.
主は私です。
I also
この
warned
件に
them
関
that
して意
any
見を
questioning
挟む
of
と
my
いうこ
decision
と
would
は、
be seen as a direct
私に
challenge to my
ひい
authority.
ては遠野に逆らうことだ。
I'm stunned. Even Makihisa wasn't able to ignore our relatives, but Akiha was able to persuade them? No. If anything, she probably argued them into submission. I see. Akiha has grown in more ways than one. As a brother, it's a little terrifying. Shiki?
兄さん、
You
ぼ
seem
ーっとしたお
distracted.
顔を
Is
されてい
something
ますが、
wrong?
何か。
ああ、いや、
just blown away.
感心したというか、
You really
感動
recognize
した
you
と
as
い
the
う
head
か
of the family.
ほ
Of course you do.
当たり前です
I wouldn't have been able to bring you back
そうでも
here
なけれ
if
ば
you didn't.
兄さんを呼び戻せ。
Let us return to the
話を
topic.
戻します。
Starting today, you
兄
will
さ
live
んに
in
は
a mansion with
今日から
members
ここで
of
暮らして
our
いただき
relatives.
ますが、ここにはここの規律があります。
With more suitable manners
今までの
than
ような無作法は避けていた。
お
I don't think that's possible.
そりゃ無理だよ、明
Too
葉。
late for me to go
今
back
さら
to
俺
Akiha.
がお行
Proper
儀
now.
に戻れるわけないし。
You will find a way.
何があろうとも
You are not a child. I will not listen to you complain
試す
before
前
you
から泣き
even
言
make
は
an
結
attempt.
構です。
Unless you think you are incapable of something that
私
I
にできたこ
accomplished.
とが兄さんにはできない。
Akiha shoots a frigid glare in my direction. It pierces through me like an icicle. There's no doubt about it. 7 years worth of resentment is finally being blasted my way now.
わか
I
った。
understand. I'll do what I
できる
can.
だけ努力はしてみる。
Do what you
努
can.
力はす
Quite
る。
ambiguous
です
answer.
か。
Do you think you will be rewarded for trying? What I'm asking is for results.
私が求めている
I'm unable to form any kind of response in the face of her ruthless assault. Very well, you live freely for the
兄
significant
さんは今まで
period of time. I cannot expect you to change your lifestyle
すぐに
immediately.
生活をた
I will
最
grant you
短で1
1
週
week.
間
You will
最
do
長で1ヶ月
everything
の
you
猶予
can
を
to
差し
mend
上げ
your
ますの
ways
で
that time.
どうぞ死ぬ気で努
At the
力して
very least, I expect your old habit gone by the month end. I don't think I'll be getting any more time after that. This must be how Akiha make compromises. I assure you this isn't asking much.
そこまで無茶な話
You and I are the only one living in
屋
this
敷には
mansion.
兄さんと私しか
I
うるさ
assumed
型
you
の
would
親戚
be
筋がい
able
て
to
は
relax more
兄さ ん
without
も
the
落ち着けないで
nitpicking
しょう
of
し
our relatives.
私
I
も
found
煩わ
them
しいので
meddlesome enough as
人
it
払いを
was,
済
so
ま
I
せま
had
した
them leave. One second. Sorry about that. Was interrupted once again. Wait a second. Had them leave. Then
屋敷に
you
居
kicked
候して
all
る
our
親
relatives
戚
out of their
全員追い
mansion?
出したの
I
か
didn't even notice that was possible. I didn't even realize that was possible. Yes, please pay it no
家と
mind.
財産を失
They
い
were
な
little
がら
more than
何の努力
parasites,
も
leeching off the
お
good
父
graces
様の
of
温
our
情に
father.
すがっていた
I would
時
have
の方々です
had them leave sooner or later.
使用人
For the
たちも
servants,
大部
I
分
let
に
most
暇
of
を出
them
しま
go.
したが
but I made sure to keep two to attend our personal needs.
問題ないって
Isn't
あ
this a
りすぎ
huge
るだろ
problem? Will they tear you apart at the next family meeting if you keep doing whatever you want?
もう
Oh, please. Isn't this preferable to the alternative of having the mansion crawling with people? She's definitely right about that.
でもだな
Are you sure about
親
this?
父だって親戚
Even
の意
Dad
見
couldn't
に
go
逆らわな
against
かったの
them.
に
Will they really let you do as you please?
そうですね
You're right.
だからお父さんは
Father allowed himself to be
兄さんを
pressured
有馬の
into
家に
sending you
預けたん
to
です
the Arima family. But
け
I
れど私
despise our
子供
relatives
の
since
頃
I was a
からあの
child.
人たちが
I will not allow myself to be bullied by them.
変ですって
But Akiha,
ああもう
come off
いい
it.
から
You don't need to worry
私なんか
about me.
そんなことより
Please
兄
focus
さん
on
は
your
これか
own
らのご自分
situation.
の生
I
活を
don't
案じて
imagine
くだ
this
さ
will
い
be easy for you. I cannot say this curtly, forcing the conversation in another direction.
状況はご理解いた
I
だけたと
believe you
思います
understand your
が
current circumstances,
兄さんはまだ
but it seems your manners still need work.
それもいい
Though
でしょう
I'm suppose that to be expected. That's why I made arrangement. If there is ever anything you are unsure about, please ask this girl here, Hisui. Akiha, without turning, calls a girl waiting at the back of the room. The girl named Hisui takes a step forward and gives a bow. It's a polite though emotionless bow, like servitude made manifest.
この子は翡翠うちの使用人です
Hisui is one of our
これ
housemaids.
から兄さん付きの次女に
She will
します
act as your personal attendant. I presume this is acceptable. She's another one of the housekeepers. Wait, what?
次女
My
って
attendant? You mean
わかりやすく言うと
yes? To be plain, she's your servant. I don't believe it. Both Akiha and the girl look like nothing out of the ordinary had been said.
ちょっと待ってくれ
Hold on, just a second. Isn't this a bit
大げ
much?
さすぎないか
I can take care of myself.
食事の支度や洗
You'll be
濯
making
も
your own meals and doing your own laundry then? Akiha's sure on point.
ともかく
Regardless, now that you have returned to the mansion, you will obey my commands. I do not know what your life was like with the Arimas, but here you are,
遠野家で暮らす遠野家の
here
長
you
男
are,
なんです
the eldest son of the Tohno
相応の
family.
待遇は
I expect you to begin
義務として
acting as such. My gaze wander over to the girl clad in a maid outfit. Hisui showed little emotion on her face. She looked like a doll as she returned my gaze.
それじゃあ翡翠
Now, Hisui, please escort my brother to his
この
room.
人は右も
This
左
boy is
も
nothing more than a lost kitten that doesn't know right from left. We wouldn't want him losing his way in this big mansion.
かしこまりました
Of course, Mr. Sakia. Hisui bowed to Akiha and walked toward me quietly. She looks toward me, but her gaze is fixed in a way that ensures our eyes don't meet. Her steps are measured, but far from slow. I can tell she's done this for a long time.
あそれと
Oh,
兄
and
さん
Shiki, you may be the eldest, but there are places in this mansion where you are not welcome.
立ち
Do
入っ
be
て翡
careful.
翠には兄さんのお守りも命じておりますから
Has also been ordered to protect you, so please be sure to heed her advice. Protect me? Don't you mean monitor me?
兄さんが規則正しい
I will
生活をしてくだされば
Hisui of this duty if you prove to be capable of conducting yourself appropriately.
それではまた
Until dinner, then. Akiha must be busy if she can't spare any more time than this.
お部屋にご案内いたします
I will show you to your room, Master Shiki. Hisui moves toward the door, paying my obvious confusion no mind. I sigh as I leave the office. So, again, we don't have the far side route yet, but it seems like this is setting up for a lot of enemies for Akiha. Like, Akiha is more so possibly dealing with the Tohno family. Like, I think, like, Gota is going to be, like, a big emissary of her. Like, I could see, like, us getting into a household family battle. And that, you're also seeing, like, something that I didn't really think much about in the original, but it does show very much more here, which is Akiha being groomed by Makihisa to follow his way of thinking very to a T. So It's very much interesting how they're setting everything up. We make our way back to the second floor lobby. The lobby splits the Tohno mansion into two wings. It's like a giant bird in flight, extending its wings far in both directions. Each wing is roughly the size of a small hospital. I vaguely recall the building is symmetrical, with the same number of rooms on both sides.
シキ様のお部屋はこちらです。
Your room is this way, Master Shiki. Instead of descending the stairs, he's continuing along the walkway, overlooking the lobby towards the west wing. I guess that means my room is on the second floor of the west wing. The sun had already set outside. Blue carpet lined the hallway extending in either direction. The uniform white walls bring a castle to mind. The maid walked down the hall, lit by a warm orange light. It's like something out of a fairy tale. No filter between brain and mouth here.
シキ様。
Is there anything I can help you with, Master Shiki? No, I was just talking to myself. Don't worry about it. Hisui gives a slight bow after glancing at me, continuing walking again. This room... I can't believe I'm saying this. This room looks way more depressing than the original room. I don't know how you managed to do that. Like, this room looks very high class, but there's a lot of aspect of this room that looks very lonely and in a way not very welcoming. Like, for example, in the other room, you see like a lone table there. But like, you see like there's not many places to sit around or really be. There's not as much. It seemed very roomish. Like there's a lot of room in the room, but there isn't actually that much room in the room because of the way everything is positioned. Like the bed is very much close to the wall, but it's centered in a way that is close enough to the doorway and close enough to the other room that you don't have much place in it. It's how I say this. It's a very interesting way to show how rejected Shiki's been in this house. Like, I can already see, like, hey, this is your room. You are not welcome at all here. I don't know what to say. And that's not the first time since returning to the mansion. Floor made with expensive teak wood, a ceiling that must be at least 3 meters high. I think I could see a sunroom further down the hall. The room Hisui showed me isn't where you expect a high schooler to live. This room is for me? Yes, though I can show you to another room if this isn't to your liking. No, there's no problem with it at all. It's just... it's way too fancy for me. Master Shiki? Never mind, it's nothing. I'd be glad to have this room. Understood, nothing has been changed since you stayed here. So I trust this will be to your... trust you will find it to your liking. Does that mean... can I ask you a question? Is this the room I used to live in? So I have heard. Am I mistaken? Hisui tilts her head slightly. I feel a little better. She isn't completely devoid of emotion. No, now that you mention it, you're right. It does look familiar somehow. This doesn't feel like my room at all, but I guess that's what happened when you've been gone for 7 years. It's just going to take some adjusting. This morning, my room was barely big enough for a bed and desk. Now it's a room out of a luxury hotel. I understand how you feel, but please try to grow accustomed to your station. You are the eldest son of the Tohno family from now on. Yeah, I guess I'll do my best not to become a laughingstock at least. I set my bag on the desk and oh, okay, never mind. Okay, this room is much more spacious than I thought. But it's still like that first impression does make the room feel very lonely. I'm still a bit overwhelmed by everything, but I don't have much choice other than to just get you to. Actually, Shiki describes it very well. It's like a expensive hotel room. It's a nice place to stay in, but it's definitely not a place they want you to. Okay, no, let me rephrase that. It's a nice place to sleep in, but it's definitely not a place that they want you to stay in. At the very least, I need to be comfortable enough to relax in my own room. Your belongings arrived last night. I took the liberty of bringing them here. Is everything accounted for? As far as I can tell, yeah. Oh, there was something I'm not allowed to have. Oh, was there something I was not allowed to have? No, there was just a little to speak of. I thought something might have been misplaced. Please let me know if there is anything you require, as I would be happy to procure it for you. Gotcha. I think I'm okay for now. I don't have much stuff in the first place. All I really need is that bag, my glasses, and the only thing in my bag are my textbook and a white ribbon I kept for a long time. Anyway, you don't need to worry about myself. This room by itself is more than enough for me. Understood. I will call for you in 1 hour then. In an hour for dinner, you mean? Yes, please feel free to relax until then. Hisui stayed devoid of emotion as she seemed to be her usual. But now my problem is how to kill time for an hour. It's just past 6. If it was yesterday, I would have just played with my phone or watched some TV in the living room, but I can't see the mansion having a place for people to get together and wind down. Hisui, can I ask a stupid question? Does this mansion have internet or TV? Internet or TV? Hisui narrowed her eyes ever so slightly. Even asking the question gives me a headache. Asking about modern luxuries, a decadent, old-fashioned mansion like this seems wrong. I don't believe either are available in this parlor. There is a reception room in the West Wing, but it's currently locked. Our guests that left us recently had items for personal use, but they were all asked to take their things with them. Do you mean the relatives Akiha chased out? Actually, who was here? And how long did they stay? The eldest Kagomine and his family stayed in the third room out of the West Wing first floor. The third daughter of the Tozaki family and her fiance stayed in this corner room of the West Wing second floor. The eldest son of the So we just flat out speaking about that. For those of you who don't know, Kishima is the one who killed all of the Nanayas. And it is alluded to that Kishima has always been like a person in the house, but we didn't know his relationship to the house. But now we know, like, at least that the eldest son of the Kishima family stayed in the first room on the East Wing first floor. They all stayed with us for 3 years. Lately, I was told that Master Makihisa, personal physician, was also staying in the mansion. 3 whole years, that sounds like freeloading. More like freeloading than being a guest, don't you think? Hisui doesn't answer. Her position as housemaid must prevent her from voicing her personal opinion about the guests. Regardless, if they've taken all their belongings with them, I can't expect to find anything I can use. Makihisa hates any kind of minor conveniences, so I can't imagine he would have allowed access to internet or TV. Akiha must have taken after our father. Well, not like I'll die without them or anything. If nothing else, I still have my phone. I take out of my pocket and check the time. It's silly to think I was actually worried I might not get service out here. It may not be much, but I'm relieved to have at least some kind of connecting to the internet. I expected to be stuck without one, considering how out of this world this place is. Meanwhile, Hisui is silent. I don't know if it's just her trying to be professional, but Hisui doesn't speak unless it's necessary or she asks something. Not being used to a personal attendant, it's a little unnerving. I'd like to try and make her smile somehow, but it's not going to be easy. I think I remember a library on the first floor of the West Wing. I'll have to make use of it when I find some time. Hisui doesn't respond. She's looking in my direction, but her eyes are fixed on the empty space next to me, resting like a cat. Hisui? Hisui say nothing, until she suddenly returned her gaze to me. I believe my sister had one in her room. Huh? I blurted out without meaning to. Could she mean a television? I believe I saw one in my sister's room once. Hisui say like she recalling a memory from long ago. That's a relief to hear. I guess not even the mansion is safe from modernization. Actually, hold on a second. Sister, do you mean Kohaku? Yes, my sister and I are the only one working in this mansion. Now that I think about it, they do look alike. Hisui is so different from her cheery sister, I didn't even consider that they might be related. Huh, she does seem like she'd be into comedies. I stopped short of asking to use it as I feel embarrassed to go into her room. Sorry, just forget I even brought it up. I need to follow the rules if I'm going to be living here, right? I don't think Akiha would ever let me live it down if I spent my first night back lounging in front of the TV. I act the perfect little student, someone worthy of the Tohno name. I'll stay in my room until dinner. Would you call me when it's time? I'm sure you have other things you need to do. Hisui nodded affirmatively, put her hand on the doorknob. The door opened with a faint squeak. Hisui leaves the room after a small bow. Alright. Alright, with that, I'm going to end today's episode. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day and take care.